Hi, my name is Dannika Jones, and I am a student in Mr. McKenzie's English 11 class attending Oak Bay High School. I will be talking about Shakespeare's life and all the interesting facts inside it, as well as a very important passage from the play Macbeth, which I think set the ambition between Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. Some important facts about Shakespeare are the 3 flags outside the Globe Theatre, who sat in the Globe Theatre, and even his own name. The 3 flags were used by the Globe Theatre to announce and proclaim the performance of a play. They were black, white, and red. Black indicated that a tragedy was showing, white meant comedy, and red meant a political play was showing. To show the performers that the audience didn't like a certain part in the play or didn't like the play at all, the audience would hiss loudly. The people who sat in the Globe Theatre were called Groundlings, Nobles, and Royalty. Groundlings were the poorest people who watched the plays. They paid 1 cent for tickets to sit on the floor and watch the play from the front row. Today, most people would love to sit in the front row, whether it be a play or even a movie. But back then, sitting in the front row was a social status, a status that showed no wealth. Often the groundlings would sit on old pillowcases or cushions on the dirt to watch the performances. This is where the name Groundlings came from. The nobles often sat in the seats provided in the middle section of the theater. These were the people that had a livable amount of money, but were not wealthy. Lastly, the royalty always sat up above the nobles and groundlings, overlooking the theater from a balcony. Men often stood to watch the plays, and women sat in their seats. Women sat down because they were looked at as weak and incapable of standing for long periods of time. Sometimes there was one very wealthy person, often a man, watching the play right on the stage from a chair. My last interesting fact I want to share is about Shakespeare's name. There are more than 80 variations recorded for the spelling of Shakespeare's name. The few original versions of his name that has survived are spelled William Shakespe, Wilm Shasp, and Wim Shakespe. His name being carried on for decades and decades concludes, but ties into my next topic on how his work is timeless. Shakespeare is probably in the top 5 of the most influential writers in world history. He has introduced 1,700 words into the English language, possibly even more, and the words have been changing constantly from different meanings to different spelling. He has inspired himself by the Bible, Ovid's Metamorphoses, Midsummer Night's Dream, and Plutarch's Monarch. Because of Shakespeare's choice and resources for his great plays, it makes his work even more timeless. His work is incorporated and inspired by many other great plays that have carried on for decades too. Example, Midsummer Night's Dream. The Bible was the oldest book in history used with Shakespeare's plays and has obviously carried on forever since it was first made. A very important theme in Shakespeare's play Macbeth is ambition. Ambition drove Macbeth to kill King Duncan. Ambition drove Lady Macbeth to pressure Macbeth into a task he didn't want to do at first. Before the ambition spread to Lady Macbeth, it started with the 3 witches at the beginning of the play. On page 46, lines 50 to 74, Macbeth speaks to the witches. He wants power and to be king. The witches speak to Macbeth, encouraging bad ideas that Macbeth can do to gain power. The first ambition started from the witches that set the whole play. The 3 witches were always Macbeth's resource to his actions.